Imagine you are watching the Labour Party conference expecting bold plans for the future of Britain after their election victory. Instead, you witness chaos, division, and a vote that sends shockwaves across the world. In Liverpool, party members stood and accused Israel of genocide in Gaza, demanding a full arms embargo against the state of Israel. What was meant to be a display of Labour unity turned into one of the most controversial political moments in years. Prime Minister Keir Starmer and his wife were there watching as delegates defied his position and sided with a United Nations report that accused Israel of genocide. Israel responded with fury, calling it a disgrace that Labour governs Britain and claiming the party now stands with Hamas. Think about that. For a moment, Britain's governing party being accused of aligning with a militant group. How does that change the way Britain is viewed on the global stage? And how do you feel hearing this? The Israeli government did not hold back. Benjamin Netanyahu's administration declared that Labour had adopted lies and joined what it called a fake genocide campaign, insisting that while the world stands with the United States and Israel in efforts to end the war in Gaza, Labour chooses to embrace Hamas. So here is the question: does this mark Labour as morally courageous or politically reckless? This vote came after months of rising tension between London and Jerusalem. In September, Keir Starmer recognized Palestinian statehood, a move he had warned would come if Israel refused to agree to a ceasefire in Gaza and a commitment to a two-state solution. Netanyahu rejected those demands, and so on the eve of the United Nations General Assembly, Starmer acted. Israel lashed out, saying Britain, France, Canada, and Australia had rewarded Hamas instead of restraining it. Was that the right step for Britain or a dangerous misstep that will haunt foreign policy for years? But the story goes deeper. Labour itself is divided. In September, several frontbenchers resigned or were dismissed after backing a ceasefire, and the cracks remain today. David Lammy, the Deputy Prime Minister, said only international courts should decide whether genocide has taken place. Not politicians like him, yet Health Secretary Wes Streeting suggested Israel could be guilty of war crimes and even ethnic cleansing. He described the intolerable loss of innocent life in Gaza, the collective punishment of a whole people, and the chilling calls from Israeli officials for mass expulsions. If ministers in the same cabinet cannot agree, how can the British people trust a clear direction from their leaders? At this stage, I want to bring you into the debate. Should British ministers call out Israel's actions so directly? Or should they stay measured and let the International Court of Justice and the International Criminal Court make the final judgment? Is speaking out a duty of moral leadership or a risk that deepens division at home and abroad? Outside Labour, the political battle lines are being drawn. Richard Tice, the deputy leader of Reform UK, met Israeli President Isaac Herzog on Monday, reaffirming his support for Israel and highlighting the importance of close ties between the two nations here. We see two very different visions. Labour moving towards recognition of Palestine and harsh criticism of Israel, while Reform and others stand firmly with Israel. Which vision do you think better represents Britain's role in the world? Now ask yourself, what does this mean for Britain's future in the Middle East? Is the government positioning itself as a peacemaker and defender of Palestinian rights? Or is it undermining alliances with the United States and Israel? Is this the beginning of a bold new direction for British diplomacy or the start of isolation from its closest allies? The consequences are already being felt within Labour and across Britain. The debate has ignited passions and forced people to choose sides. The vote at the conference was technically non-binding, yet its symbolic weight cannot be denied. It challenges the authority of the Prime Minister, it complicates Britain's foreign policy, and it sets the stage for heated political battles in the months to come. So I ask you directly, do you believe Labour is right to accuse Israel of genocide? Or is this a reckless label that undermines efforts for peace? Is Keir Starmer showing leadership by recognizing Palestine? Or weakness by allowing his party to set the agenda? And if you were in his shoes, what would you do? Would you take the risk of angering Israel and the United States? Or would you hold the line and refuse recognition until conditions are met? As you think about this, remember the stakes are not only international, they are domestic. Public opinion in Britain is divided, communities are polarized, and the words of leaders can either calm or inflame tensions. Should British leaders prioritize unity at home or justice abroad, which comes first and which matters most? This is not the end of the story. Labour's choice has opened a new chapter in British politics and in Britain's role in global affairs, but where it leads is uncertain. One path could see Britain championing human rights and recognition of Palestine. Another could see strained relations with powerful allies and a riskier diplomatic future. Where do you think we are heading, and where should we be heading? Share your thoughts below, because this debate is only just beginning. Sources: BBC News, Sky News, The Telegraph, Bloomberg.